Carowinds is the biggest and best amusement park in the Carolinas. Located in Charlotte, this park spans both North and South Carolina. The park was previously owned by Paramount, but it has been owned and operated by Cedar Fair ever since 2006, and they have invested heavily in this park. It now features arguably the best coaster lineup in the Southeast, with 14 different roller coasters, plus an appealing mix of flat rides and dark rides. So in this video, I will rank the top 15 best rides and attractions at Carowinds. Before starting the countdown, I want to note that this video will not include anything at the Carolina Harbor Water Park, because I've only visited the amusement side. I also will not be including any defunct attractions. All my visits have occurred since 2016, so not too many rides have gone defunct, and one that has, in Rip Roarin' Rapids, was not very good. Starting off this list with number 15 is Hurler. I loved King's Dominion's Hurler back in 2006, but both versions received a trim break at the base of the first drop around 2010. This sapped the ride of its speed and airtime, which I mentioned in a review. You can still get a few weak pops of airtime on some of the bunny hills, but it's a stark contrast to the strong airtime this coaster delivered in its prime. A few of the low turns can be shaky, but they're tolerable if you avoid a wheel seat. Number 14, Southern Star. This intimate looping starship delivers some fantastic sustained hang time. This ride doesn't have the longest cycle, but the few revolutions you receive will have you hanging out your seat for a few seconds at a time. The restraints are tight and awkward, but they didn't impact my ability to levitate on my seat and appreciate that hang time. Number 13, Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare. This Triotech shooting dark ride varies wildly depending how many people ride it. With a full load, it's nearly incomprehensible to understand where you're shooting. There are too many crosshairs on the screen at once. With a limited load, it's an enjoyable experience with plenty of targets to shoot at. And the motion platform you ride on mixes in some thrills along the way that most shooters fail to offer. Number 12, Carolina Cyclone. This classic aero looper has its pros and cons. On one hand, the first drop and entry into the turnaround give abrupt pops of airtime, and the two vertical loops are quite forceful. On the other hand, the train shuffles in several valleys and on the turns. But if your head clears the top of the over-the-shoulder restraint like me, you thankfully will not get any head banging. Number 11, Boo Blasters on Boo Hill. This Sally dark ride is a solid shooter. This one features the familiar 2D aesthetic. Very few targets react to being shot, but the guns have helpful laser sights and most targets work, so it's easy to rack up a high score. Number 10, Windseeker. This giant mondial swing ride stands 301 feet or 92 meters tall and offers nice aerial views of Carowinds, especially because it was placed smack dab in the center of the park. I just wish this ride had more uptime because I genuinely love the visuals. Number 9, Vortex. This is one of the earliest Balzer and Mabillard stand-up coasters. It is pretty short both in height and length, but I think it delivers a solid ride. If you follow my patented strategy to ride comfortably, you should be able to have little to no headbanging or discomfort. That makes it easier to appreciate the forceful vertical loop, the leg-numbing helix, and a fun corkscrew. Number 8, Nighthawk. This was the prototype Vekoma Flying Dutchman, and it was relocated to Carowinds in 2004. Most of the ride is enjoyable, like Six Flags America's Batwing. You have some good G's in the valleys, and especially on the vertical loop that feels similar to a B&M pretzel loop in reverse. I do not like the corkscrew finale though. While most of the ride is smooth, those two inversions, while disorienting, shuffle quite badly. I'm glad the later ones replaced these inversions with a barrel roll instead. Those feel much more natural. But outside those two elements, Nighthawk is a fun experience. Number 7, Electrospin. This Mondial top scan is run pretty slowly, but it has a decently long cycle with plenty of opportunities for hang time. I would suspend out of my seat for a few seconds at a time, and then get abruptly whipped upright as the ride continued to spin about. This may be the best permanent top scan in the US, as it's a very disorienting experience. Number 6, Mountain Gliders. These classic Bishroco flying scooters have a short cycle, but they're extremely easy to snap. And unlike most parks, snapping is not only allowed, but it's encouraged. Snapping turns a family ride into a bona fide thrill ride as you hurtle unnaturally forwards. It feels sort of like your tub is glitching as it abruptly yanks you forwards when the cables get tension back. Number 5. Drop Tower. This is one of the shorter Intamin drop towers at just 17 stories tall, but it still has a fairly forceful drop. You get a little stomach drop at the start, and then you float the whole way down. And the brakes engage pretty close to the ground in this one, so you maximize your freefall time. Number 4. Afterburn. This B&M invert has a similar start to Montu with the same first 5 inversions, including a batwing. I love the intense whip entering and exiting the element, plus the strong positive G's in the valley between flips. The other 4 inversions are good too. The loop is forceful, the Immelman has some mild whip, the 0G roll is floaty, and the final corkscrew is extremely snappy. This invert also has good pacing, a great sense of speed, and smooth track work. This makes it one of the better B&M inverts out there. Number 3. Intimidator. This B&M hypercoaster is often nicknamed Intimidator by enthusiasts. Yes, there are a ton of trims, but the first 2 have a negligible impact on the experience even if they bite. That first half delivers some nice and sustained floater airtime throughout the entire train. It is one of the best starts of any B&M hyper. Now the second half is severely neutered by the mid-course trim though, but you still get a few faint pops of airtime and a semi-forceful helix as you limp back to the brake run. While there is a superior B&M just across the park, Intimidator was built for floater airtime and it is wildly successful in that department as I mentioned in my review. Number 2. Copperhead Strike. This mock multi-launch coaster does many things well. 4 of the 5 inversions offer world-class hang time. It is surreal hanging out of your seat with just a lap bar like that. Then there are several solid airtime hills and lateral moments scattered about the ride, and sometimes you experience both sensations simultaneously. This coaster is also one of the best themed attractions at any Cedar Fair park. While the story is convoluted, it does add to the anticipation, particularly in the barn sequence before the initial launch. The ride's one weakness, ironically, are the launches. It's pretty weird for a launch coaster to have this as a weakness, but neither launch has much oomph to it. But everything else is great as I mentioned in a review. And coming in at number 1 is Fury 325. This is not only the best attraction at Carowinds by a long shot, but it's also a borderline top 10 roller coaster in the entire world. This is B&M's masterpiece. This Giga coaster has immense heights, and that initial plunge is one of the best out there with several seconds of floater airtime. Then the attraction is a speed demon, blazing through the layout. You feel every bit of this coaster's 95 mph or 153 km/h top speed, especially if you're in the front row. And I love this coaster's elements too. The first half features some aggressive low-to-the-ground turns that throw you diagonally out of your seat between the laterals and airtime. Then you have one of the best turnarounds ever devised with the treble clef, as you get copious amounts of sideways airtime. Lastly, you have a few final bunny hills that deliver stronger airtime than most B&Ms. This coaster does so much well, and it is inherently re-rideable, which is why Fury alone makes Carowinds worth visiting. Check out my review if you want to hear more about this spectacular attraction. So those are my top 15 favorite rides and attractions at Carowinds. I suspect most people have the same number 1, but I'm interested how you rank the park's next 3 best coasters. So let me know your favorites down in the comments. If you enjoyed this countdown, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.